Buddy, Natalie coming to live, Spirit and Coffee. My coffee's in the other room, unfortunately. Um, but still drinking it and still have it. Okay, so I want to get started. Yesterday I talked about an important topic, and kind of crazy because these podcasts, especially from Podbean, they get aired on YouTube, and typically I have zero people on YouTube. Nobody ever listens to my stuff on YouTube, which is fine. But yesterday, I think just the words white supremacy, right, may have, had people interested in what I was talking about. And so had some people actually view, some people subscribe to my YouTube channel, which is pretty interesting. And I think it's timely. And I think it's a very uncomfortable conversation for people to talk about. And I think that, as I said before, when people hear the word white supremacy, when they hear white supremacy, they instantly think white privilege. They think white skin. They think white male. They think KKK. They think of all these things. Now, that is a result of the archetypal pattern of white supremacy. And I think once people maybe are educated in what I mean, that we can then start to heal ourselves around the narrative of what has happened to humanity with this particular archetype, which is an energy field or an energy force. Which is the cause, not the symptom, right? We see the symptom in society being played out, both good and bad. We see that, if we looked at it and we said that, white supremacy became a group of individuals that benefited from this particular archetype, we could say, well, what did that result in? And part of it is structures and highways and cars and the rise of technology and science and all these things. And if you do look at science, especially I'm talking about in the modern world, I'm not talking about postmodern or historical context, because obviously ancient civilizations had this information. What I'm talking about are the people who have leveraged it for the benefit, coming now into the new age, where we see technology and science. Now, if you look at the sciences, you can see that it's mostly white men who actually are given credit for the sciences. Now, does that mean it's white supremacist? No. And I think this is the problem, and I think this is where people get confused. Okay, broadcast pause, resume. Okay. I also feel like it's causing a little bit of disruption in the force field. Uh, Somehow this got paused, and I think it's the terms and the that I'm using where people do get triggered. It's a very hard topic to discuss. However, I think that this energy field is trying to give us some information. So, what I plan to do is actually download the beautiful article that was written by James Hillman on the archetypal pattern of white supremacy, and read it and go over it. And this is exactly how Spirit and Coffee started, because we need to transcend the story. It's not about making it right, wrong, good, or bad. It's about understanding, coming from a place of curiosity, and trying to understand how to heal this energy pattern that has played out in our narratives, in our dialogue, in the way that we view the world, in our worldviews, and how it has come to fruition, and the negative and maybe the not so good aspects. And I don't want to put it right, wrong, good, or bad, or negative or positive, but there is a consequence, and looking at the consequences. Maybe consequences being that some of them can lead to our damnation. They can lead to this human species actually dying out, or we can look to healing our species and transcending this narrative into new ways of existence. So that's really what I'm talking about. Really hard when you put the word out there. And I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of backlash, people upset. And that's fine. I understand there's a lot of fear in change and transformation. There's a lot of fear around feeling like you're the unaccepted group, or that your power or privilege might be taken away. But that's not really what's happening. What's happening is a change and transformation for the betterment of all humanity. Not easy. Okay. And people have spoke out about these, the unjust in the world, and not very liked by most people. Like I said, I'm not everybody's cup of tea. I'm not everybody's cup of coffee. And that's okay. I am gonna love them anyway. I've had some pretty dark people show up. I don't want to say dark, it's such a wrong word. I've had some pretty interesting characters show up on my podcast in the past who trolls who have tried to harm and hurt. And the reality is, I love them anyway. We're not here. A Spirit and Coffee is definitely not a place of judgment. That's not, but curiosity and how to heal the narrative and looking at how to use this wisdom practically so that we as a human race can exist on, can we can go on. Otherwise, who knows? We may not. And either way is fine. Although I do think that humanity can go on. And I do believe that humanity has the ability to move past this narrative that has been stifling us worldwide. It's a worldwide phenomena, not just within the Western world. And in fact, we see it. And so, why is this pattern? I've having conversations with this particular energy. What are you telling us? Asking those deeper questions. What is it that you want us to know? Why is it that you're here? What is it that you are trying to teach us? And I think there's something to be said about that. Okay. So what I'd like to do is to, like I said, I'm going to download that article and I'm going to read it. Why? Because it's hard to explain a topic like white supremacy from the the consciousness that people live under now, right? You say that word and automatically people have assumptions about what it means to them. So I need to set a foundation for what I'm talking about because it's not about a person, it's not about a people, it's about a energy force field, something greater than we even understand as a human species, right? That there are these bigger patterns and narratives that get played out and there's a reason for it. Okay. And if we can understand what it's trying to teach us energetically, then perhaps, like I said, we can heal it. If we don't, we're kind of headed for damnation because there's always these negative and positive aspects to each one of them. Are they good, right, wrong, or bad? No, there's neither one. It could be negative or positive, right? Looking at it, and negative not being bad. Negative sometimes is good. We need that in order to wake up. Sometimes we have to go through the fire in order to rise into something new. So, but what is it teaching us? Now, the problem is mostly that people don't get the message. They don't learn from it. And then that becomes an issue. And as we've seen historically throughout history, we tend to not as a human species, which is kind of sad. I believe in the human race. I believe that humans have the power to transcend these greater narratives that are harming them. Um, so nobody escapes the suffering, as Buddhism tells you, but there is a way out. And I think that we can look at individuals who have perhaps benefited from this particular archetypal pattern excuse me, and can admit that, and then also talk about how they are what they are doing in order to heal their self from that narrative because it also could be a detriment to them as well. Doesn't mean that it plays out so perfectly. Privilege doesn't equal non-suffering. That's not true. Privilege comes with a different level of suffering or a different type of suffering. I shouldn't say level, but a different type of suffering. Okay. So as I get my language, as I get my understanding, I'm going to continue to share. And who knows, people may or may not show up for this, but I do know that this is what's needed in order for humanity to move forward. And it's an uncomfortable conversation, but spiritual alchemy is not about being comfortable. It's not about not talking about the hard things that people don't want to talk about or facing them and loving them anyway. In fact, most people want to be mad about it. They want to point the finger. And to come from a place of love is the harder thing to do. It's always going to be the harder thing to do, but it is the way to heal. So hopefully we can explore this together. Hopefully the individuals who are ready to. I would love to hear from you guys, on the topic. I know there's a lot of pain and trauma around this particular topic. I know that there is a lot of fight um, and I understand it's going to take all of that to remedy, to heal, the past narratives that this archetypal pattern has played out. We're trying to, people try to. Uh, does it ever get anywhere? Not necessarily. Um, but I do think that we have the opportunity to actually do this. Okay. So it's very, very, very complex, and it's a very deeply rooted narrative and story. And until we can actually really look at it for what it is and we can heal from it, then no change is going to be made. And so it has to happen at the individual level, plus the microcosm, plus the macrocosm, especially the macrocosm. If we don't do that, well, who knows where we're going to head? I mean, there's prophecy about it, right? And the prophecy being not heading in a good direction because we can't learn these lessons. So hopefully we do. I'm rooting for our species. Okay. I believe in the human race, and I believe that at the core of us is love. Um, and I think the fear seeps in later. And when the fear seeps in, we tend to do kind of crazy, irrational things. And we tend to not really tap back into that core essence out of fear of loss and death, typically. Okay, so there you have it. I'm gonna I know this is awkward times and stuff, but of course I'm been on here more than once. I'm missing my spirit and coffee, obviously. It's starting to resonate within my heart again. So I will be printing out that article and sharing it. And I think that it's time for me to kind of share where I'm headed in terms of my life. So there you have it. I love you guys so much. Have a fabulous day, and I'll be seeing you soon.